Heyo, this is Stracco, and today we are going to be playing the Duchess. The Stealth Duchess, to be precise. What does that mean? Well, let's check our relics. First, we have critical hits earn runes, and dagger chain attack reprises event upon nearby enemies. What does that last one mean? You'll see it in the video, it's kinda hard to explain. Next, we have starting armament inflicts frost, and the treasure marked upon map. And finally, we have nearby frostbite conceals self and attack power up when facing frostbite enemies when frostbitten. So, the idea behind this build is that we are going to be going up behind enemies, triggering frost, becoming hard to see, and just chain backstabbing our way through the entirety of camps and getting a bunch of runes for it. Duchess actually has a relic passive that is good for this type of thing, where after you get a backstab, it conceals you for a bit. But I find that it's... well, one, I don't really have one where I could fit this in. But, I also find that the frostbite stealth is just kind of stronger, because it says hard to spot, but, like, enemies will just see you anyway. This is also going to be the second to last of, This is also going to be the second to last character that we're going to run on Cerberus. And what I mean by that is, I'm thinking after I've beaten Cephalos or Cerberus or whatever with every character, what I kind of want to do is set the night to be completely random. So, like, I could get any of the Night Lords with any of the characters that I'm deciding to play, except for the final boss. And then I want to keep track of what I've actually beaten on a spreadsheet. And then, once I've beaten all of them, or once I've gone through every single, boss, right? So not beaten, but just like, I've fought every single boss with every character, consult that spreadsheet, see what bosses I haven't beat with what character, and then go back through and clean that up, and then do a sort of finale where I beat the final bosses, or where I beat the final boss with every character, or just send attempts with every character. That's kind of the direction I see this series going. Again, treasure marked upon map is one of my favorite passives that you can get. It's, I want to say kind of niche, but it's niche in a good way, where, like, if you find these treasures, you're always in a better spot. It's also a real shame I don't proc frostbite. There we go. So, these 300 runes add up. Are they really worth fishing for backstabs? Because, oh my god, my voice. Are they really worth fishing for backstabs? Because this does come at the cost of efficiency. I don't know. But it's satisfying to see my runes go up with every single backstab, so that part's cool. I also have a new video idea specifically for Nightreign, because the latest video I did was more generic souls. But I have a new idea specifically for Nightreign that I really am excited to try to do. I sent a few runs today, but I kept getting really bad luck with crashes, and it's a little bit finicky in that a bad run is just absolutely cooked from the start. The other thing that I took the time to do, right, I went through and I reviewed my footage. Like, all of my footage. So, I feel like I've got a much better understanding of where I'm lacking in live commentary. And I want to try to work on that starting now, and in the Revenant video coming up, my goal is to kind of iron that out. Right. I've done a lot of yapping here because I think this build is neat, but I didn't actually talk about Duchess at all. So let's do that. First of all, she has one of the strongest but most basic abilities of any of the Nightfarers. You can dodge twice. So your dodge is a double dodge. Only twice. After that, it goes on a normal dodge cooldown. But it means that she is one of the best characters for just not getting hit by a lot of AoEs. The other thing that she has, and this is unfortunately, like, the only other thing, is that you can activate at any time your skill. And what it does is it replays all of the damage that you did to an enemy. But it's not just your damage. It replays any damage. So if you have a teammate and they use an ult, you can use your skill and it replays the ult hits. Now, it only does 50% of the damage, 60 if you have one of her relics that boosts it, but like 50% is insane. And the other thing that it can do is it can replay status effects, which is where she gets the most use out of it because her damage is usually very low, unless you get a god run with really good spells. So yeah, like, if that didn't kill him outright, I would have been able to replay that. Or you can hit guys a few times, replay, and leave. I don't know. This is my favorite character. When I'm playing this game just for my own fun, Duchess 100% of the time, basically, and sometimes Wilder. Wilder is also very fun. Bam. So yeah, we're farming runes. You figure I've had, what, probably 10 backstabs? That's 3,000 runes I wouldn't have had. I don't think it's more efficient than just killing things. I will be honest, I'm pretty sure you're better off just running through and smacking things fast. Puppets are still puppets, okay. I do think you're much better off just running through and smacking things fast and trying to hurry up. But, like, you know, it's not always about being 100% efficient. Sometimes it's about fun. And finally, Duchess's ultimate ability, is, in my opinion, just the worst in the game. Any situation that you can use this for, you can probably use a different character's ultimate and it will be better. That said, it's pretty neat. She can stealth. Yeah. I'm invisible now. I mean, it's hard to say that this is good when I have the same exact effect just by frostbiting things, but it does affect your whole team, if you're wondering. So, it's got that going for it. The problem I really have with this ultimate is that the situations where it would be good, a different ultimate would be better. What do I mean by that? Well, okay, let's say that you need to res. If you stealth yourself, this ult doesn't last long enough for you to res somebody from 3 bars. Which is very frustrating. On top of that, not only does it not last... Ooh, that's a much better sword than what I'm using. Not only that... Okay, bro. Okay, so it doesn't last long enough to full res a teammate. That's fine, sure. But it doesn't do any damage on its own. Okay, that's a pretty big downside when you've got Executor becoming a wolf and 1v1ing bosses, or Wilder getting iframes and just murking through enemies. So yeah, it's not that it's bad, it's just like, whenever you're talking about how good something is, it's always going to be relative. So it's not bad, it's that I'm comparing it to... Ooh, more runes is just really good. I'm comparing it to other ultimates that just kind of do things better. And so it's hard to say it's good, because I've seen what good is in this game, and it's insane. Now, the way that I'm looking at the map, and beating Equilibrious Beast, he is by far the hardest of any of the bosses, even the final one. But in beating Equilibrious Beast, I got way more efficient at just running through the map, because you have to. Like, that fight is insane, and I'm terrified of when I get to it. But now I run through this map so much quicker, because you have to. You have to be efficient to beat him. And you'll probably have to be efficient to beat the harder fights as well. So the way that I'm looking at this map is I take this tree, no! Okay, I dropped input for a second there. That was scary. I take this tree. If this is chariots, I'm gonna do those because they're just super free. Yep. And then hit this camp, hit this camp, hit this church, and then probably boss. What do I mean by... Oh, shit. That's terrible. No, he took the high ground! These are my favorite enemies in the game to just instantly kill. It's always worth doing their camps. So what do I mean by efficient? In this game, it is 100% not worth it to take pauses on and, like, think. Like, you should build a route, But if ever you're just standing still trying to deliberate on what you want to take, that's going to lose you runs. I can't believe he can go up that. What the fuck? Bro's wheelchair is for the staircases. The biggest thing that will lose you a run in this game is being underleveled. You can deal with bad gear. It's not going to be fun, but you can. But if bosses are one-shotting you, you're going to have a hard time. So, like, if you're ever stuck thinking, just find a nearby camp and go kill it. If you're not of level for it, which the big way to check is if they have a element on them, except fire, they're usually a little bit harder. But yeah. Go to a camp, do it. Because you will need the runes. Even, like, running around like this is annoying. Screw off. Improved critical hits. Okay, yeah. I'll take that over improved lightning attack power. So what I might even do, though, is I might start here, depending on what this camp is, because I am, well, 1, only level 2. Yikes. But 2, I don't have time to search for the boss of this camp. Like, if this is a multiple night camp, I should just get going. Because missing out on this church would be bad. I like to try to get all my churches out of the way by night 1. It doesn't always work that way, but it's overall just a better experience if you do. Gives you more time. Night's Tide closing. Okay, yeah, I need to do this now. I might have time after I've leveled up to make my way back and actually finish clearing this camp, but I should prioritize the church first. I need to stop saying But what I'm doing here, by the way, is a byproduct of having reviewed my footage. I noticed that there were a lot of times where I had a plan and I saw a way to win, right? Where I was going, oh, if I do this way, I will be able to win this run. But I wouldn't say anything. And then watching back through the footage, I could tell. I was like, oh, I'm playing for this here. Why didn't I say anything? So I'm trying to make more use out of looking at what I'm doing and then going. And when I'm just doing something like fighting a misbegotten, which, by the way, are the easiest enemies that you can run into a lot of the time, then I have a little bit of a time to take a mental pause, or once I've established what I'm trying to do. Ow. I'm stuck. Ow. Replay. That's a double dodge at work. Hard carry. All resistance up, why not? If ever you find yourself not sure what to pick, just grab the passives. If you get multiple passives, yeah, it's a little bit harder, but it's never worth stopping your moving for the sake of trying to get the perfect item, unless it's a really good choice or you have nothing else to do in the moment. I bet you if I hit him 2 more times and then replay it, he'll bleed. Or he'll just bleed. Nice. So he dies to that. Yeah, the replay is super fun. Attack up when wielding 2 armor. Can y'all stop? Okay. I never liked ballistas, so... Level 8 by night 1 is insanely good. As for real life, I think it's really... here's something that's been really amusing to me lately. People that are on the internet a lot have such a scuffed perspective on, like... I don't even know how to call it. Normal people conversation. Okay? Like, there's this sort of feeling that they think that they're a lot more important to other people's life than they are. One thing you need to realize about people, right? They don't care much for you. Like, seriously. Random strangers that you meet on the street that annoy you, very likely don't even know that you exist. And I know a lot of people will get, like, frustrated at them, or try to do something to get back at them. And I always think it's the funniest thing. Like, I read one example what do you do if somebody is forcing you to talk? What do you do if somebody is talking to you about their kids or like whatever and you don't like it, right? And you want them to stop? You get answers like, well, what you should do is you should talk about your special interests to them back. And oh my god, but they like frame it like it's a retaliation. But what you need to understand is when you're talking about things you're passionate about to a normal person, you just come off like you like talking to them. So this person's like, oh yeah, there's no way that this 48-year-old, 50-year-old mom is going to be interested in me talking about Elden Ring. But meanwhile, if you actually are excited about talking about it with her, she's going to be like, oh, that's so cute. I don't know, just viewing social interaction as like a punishment is such a funny internet thing. But it's not only stuff like that. It's things like, oh, this person cut me off and they totally meant to do it. So now I'm going to speed past them like a crazy person to get in front of them again. And meanwhile, the person who cut you off is probably just absent-mindedly on their drive home thinking about life. I don't know, there's such a divide between people that use the internet a lot and people that don't. I'm going to end up killed here. Bell-bearing hunters are my least favorite enemy in the game. I'm actually really lucky here because I'm a high level, and Duchess... I know it looks like I'm mistiming those dodges. This is actually a trick that I really like with Duchess. You can intentionally dodge early, right? And then use the second dodge as your actual dodge. And why would you do that? Well, it gives you kind of... There's iframes on the startup of this, by the way. It's like the only real use for it. It gives you an opportunity to kind of micro-adjust the dodge while knowing that you're already safe. Safe, perfect. So I've mentioned it before, but Duchess's moveset with daggers, I think her one-handed moveset is pretty, but also pretty bad. Hey, stop it. Bell-bearing Hunter's ability to vary up his attacks is so frustrating. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to lock in. But yeah, Duchess's special dagger moveset, don't get me wrong, it's not bad, but like the one-handed one is just, all of these double hits are locking me into animations. Whoa. Oh, I'm out. That's bad. So a lot of the time I find that just two-handing it is better. Or, you know, just go for one hit, like a total loser. I'll probably speed this up a bit by using this. Yeah, Duchess is my favorite character. Just the double dodge feels really cool, and it opens up new ways of fighting old enemies. I'm not going to spoil the bosses that come back, but like... some of the things that you could do with this character on them are so fun. Attacks... Ugh. I don't have any poison, so we're just going to take this. Like I said, don't deliberate too much. Get your thing and move on. And now we're going to hit up Fortress. Fortress, but actually... We're going to get this just because there's a treasure chest near it, which I hate doubling back. This was such an inefficient way of routing this, but I also would like another healing item. I ran out there. I felt that I ran out there. I don't want to lose the run because of that. That would just be extra dumb. But yeah, basically, and this is always a thing to keep in mind, you're not as important for the average person in day-to-day life as you think. Like, how many people actually can remember every time a stranger has annoyed them? You just know that, like, I was driving and somebody irritated me this one time. And over time, you start forgetting even, like, what situation made you mad. Trolls, Greatsword, Iron Jar, Aromatic. I want to see Halo Scythe. This is very, very good. I don't even care what the passive is on it. Improved guard breaking. I mean, okay. But this is a holy weapon, and as I've mentioned, the dog is weak to holy. Is it? Yeah, okay. I I sometimes struggle when I'm looking quickly at telling if it was holy or lightning. Not that they look like completely the same, but dude, they look kind of the same. This also has Miquella's Ring of Light on it, which is one of the best holy weapon arts. They kind of did a buff pass on a lot of the weaker weapon arts, right? So now the weak weapon arts in base Elden Ring are usually pretty strong. They're not always strong. Like, don't. There are a few that I've used and I've been like, this is still not great. I think Bloodblade comes to mind, where it's not terrible, but like I'd rather have anything else. Looking at the map, we actually got a tragic spawn with all of our great bosses. So Fortress is our only real bet here. What would help with Fortress, though, is if I actually ran to it. And it's looking like it's going to be giants, or trolls, rather, not giants. Which is very unfortunate. Let me just grab this beetle that I'm hearing. I'm hearing a beetle. I was hearing a beetle. Okay. I'm insane. There is no beetle. But, like, honestly, this is a very freeing thing to realize, right? When you try to feel like, try to feel, because it's not true. When you feel like everybody is against you and doing things to spite you, it leads to a very frustrating life. Like, you will constantly, this is my least favorite fight in the game, by the way. Not the hardest, just least favorite. When you think everybody's against you, you're going to constantly be making yourself miserable and seeing things that just aren't there. Like, oh, this person did this to spite me. And it's like, no, they just did that because they weren't even thinking of you. Like, look, if people can do something that makes life easier for them at the cost of inconveniencing you, and you act like you're just fine with that and don't say anything, they're gonna just do it. It's not anything mean. It's like, oh, this person just doesn't mind. You know, there are some things that you genuinely don't mind. I mean, at my old job, I remember whenever I would not mop, but, what is it? It was like a Swiffer. Yeah, so it was mopping, but with a Swiffer. So, half mopping, I suck. Whenever I was mopping, I always just didn't mind it. Why the hell did those track me through being invisible? I don't know. Anyway, I never minded mopping. So if somebody had mopping they didn't want to do, and they were willing to trade something for me to mop for them, I would just do it. And, like, sometimes they would even assume, like, oh, will you mop for me tonight? And I'd be like, yeah, sure, why not? And I could see, like, that being annoying if it was completely constant and I didn't like doing it. But that's the thing, you do things for people and it's convenient for them, they start expecting it. Now, I wouldn't say don't be a total pushover. Like, set boundaries, especially if you feel like you're being taken advantage of. But if you feel like you're being taken advantage of, but the person is overall a nice person, you're making a big mistake to assume malice, because chances are good it's not malicious. This fight is so irritating, by the way. I used to be very active on the League of Legends wiki, actually. Back in the day, the League of Legends wiki champion comment sections was basically a Reddit. It was my social media. Weird as it is to admit that, because I generally don't like social media. There was one user in particular that I had I'm not going to say a good relationship, but, like, he would frequent it a lot, I would frequent it a lot, and we'd have good conversation a lot of the time. And I mentioned one time that sometimes it feels like people who come to the forum are arguing in bad faith. Like, they're going out of their way to give takes that just aren't true, aren't supported, they're just frustrated, and they don't want to hear anybody say, oh no, this character is actually balanced, they just want to be mad. And it was really interesting. He stopped me. Like, this person who who I'd had a lot of conversations with, like gotten along pretty well with, stopped me and said, hey, never assume maliciousness when ignorance is a possible reason. And that's like one of those sayings where it stuck with me all my life. If you ever feel like somebody is being malicious, take a second and think, well, could they just be ignorant? And it will completely change how you look at people. Because most of the time, I hate this fucking dog. Most of the time, that's all it is. They're not trying to be malicious. They're... Brother. They're not trying to be malicious. They're just kind of not thinking of you. And I don't know if that makes you sad or happy to hear, but that's just how normal people work. If you're not in their sphere of things they care about, they're not going to spare you too much thought, because people can only give so much energy to anything in their life at a given time. And the happy people don't give energy to things that make them miserable. Okay, I was going to say, I totally stepped on that. I don't know why it's not opening. This, I guess. I mean, that's just a good general rule. Don't give energy to things that make you miserable. Whether that's like social media, that's people in your life, that's your job. And I get it, that's not really applicable advice for jobs if you have to work. I'm not saying quit your job. I'm saying if you hate your job and it's draining for you, just do what's expected of you and don't invest your emotional well-being into it. Tell yourself every day, I'm here to work, I'm only going to be here until I find something better, and then stick to that and look for something better. Like, when you invest your emotional energy into things that make you miserable, you become miserable. And that bleeds into everything you do and will affect every part of your life. Like, you are so much better off just focusing on what actually makes you happy. And try to make that something that you can take pride in too, right? Like, I know one of the best, most put together people that I know, right? He works at just a basic retail job, and he paints Warhammer minis. And he is incredible at painting. Like, his designs get showcased on some YouTube channels when he shares them, because he's just that good at it. And, dude, like, I have so much respect for this guy. I need to make sure I don't dox my friends, so it's kind of weird to censor mid-speech, but I have so much respect for this guy, because he just always does what he likes and is content. Like, other people are, you know, wanting to be famous, wanting to be, like, wanting to make more of their life, discontent. And I'm not saying he's not making more of his life, but, like, while he works on the things he actually cares about, he's also happy with what he's got. And as long as he's got his basic, like, things he likes being met, dude, he's just happy. I have so much respect for that. Do you know how many people, like, I could learn from him? I was always, I think I've gotten a lot better with it now, but I was always down on myself and discontent because I felt I wasn't doing enough. And, like, now I've kind of realized it's not about results, right? You're not going to see results right away with anything. Whether it's YouTube, whether it's, like, building a business, whether it's getting better at something that you just kind of are vibing with. You don't see results right away. Ever. But you can still, like, don't let that get to you. Just think, well, I like doing this, and I want to get better, and it makes me happy, so I'm gonna keep doing it. That's how you become, one, like, just a lot more charismatic, but two, that's how you become happy. And it's important to make the distinction, right, of doing something because it's making you happy and doing something as an escape. This is where, like, talking about video games, I think people get these two mixed up all of the time. If you're playing a video game and it's making you miserable, chances are pretty good that what's going on in your life right now isn't, like, you're not being miserable because of the video game. Right? Like, if you're not happy with life and you're playing games to escape that, that's going to bleed into your games. And, you know, sometimes you need an escape. It's not like a total bad thing to stop for a second and go, I've had a terrible day, I feel awful, I just want to enjoy this game and, like, relax. It is a bad thing when you're not enjoying the game. I think competitive games have this the most often. I forgot I had instant death because it never fucking procs. Literally a waste of slot. But it is a problem when you're not enjoying the game, you're having a bad time, but you're playing because you just can't cope. And people, most often I feel, do that with competitive games like League of Legends, Valorant, CSGO, any of those. Like, they'll just play it for the sake of, I don't want to acknowledge that I'm not happy right now. And what that does is it makes them even more unhappy. Because they're not addressing their problem, they're not dealing with whatever is upsetting them, they're just playing a game. So a lot of the time when I'm playing an online game and I'm getting a teammate that's like really miserable, I always feel like, you know, this person is not mad at me. I mean, he might be mad at me. Look, sometimes I troll, sometimes I suck. I'm not the best at gaming all the time. Only most of the time. But for the most part, if somebody is like really flipping out, they're not mad at you. They are mad at life. And keep that in mind, because if you start getting like upset back, it's not like they win, but you're getting upset at someone that is literally lashing out because they just are unhappy with themselves. I don't know if that makes you feel better or worse to hear, but it's true. And I know I was like that once with League of Legends. That game, I was playing as an addiction. And I felt it because I would queue up and I would spend the entire game like, my teammates died 3 times. This game's terrible. Always with the bad teammates. And it's like, no, I am just in a bad mood and projecting. So, yeah. Anyway. Clearing out the fortress is one of the best times to yap because it's very chill, especially with Crucible Knights and Trolls. Stormveil Knights, that's a nightmare. But, yeah, I don't know. Being happy is one of those things where, like, once you become happy and satisfied with yourself, the only advice that you can give is usually pretty rough to hear. Because, like, a lot of the time it just comes down to, dude, you have to look at things differently. But that's the most cliche thing that everyone's told. And it's never explained well. It's always explained like, well, you know, happiness is a choice, and you're miserable, and you're like, well, it's not. I'm sad. Tree Sentinel is one of those fights where I'm always happy to see it. I don't love the cavalry that he gets, but it's not the worst. I just have to be a little careful. I only have 3 healing items. Been a while since I used my hide and mist technique, so I'd like to actually see if I can't proc that. Why did my replay do 0 damage? No, whatever. Hidden in the mist. I strike. Okay, or hidden in the mist. He rolls. We're gonna... And then we're gonna double dodge because I'm scared. We're gonna toss down a Warming Stone. And then we're gonna use Chilling Mist. So yeah. Being happy... I'd say the most important thing, right? If you're somebody who feels like there's not anything... What? Alright, well, Bro Phantom hit me. That's not good. If you feel like you're somebody where there's not anything going on in your life, right? What I think you should do is try and look. Okay, I need to stop. I need to, yeah, make a mental note. If you're someone who's not happy, here's what you do. I feel like the old guru, dying right before he gives advice. Maybe that's what I do. If I don't get this thought complete before the video ends, if I don't finish this thought before the video ends, I just never finish it. Come on, bro. Stop blocking everything. Holy. Holy. Okay. Toss that down. We are in the shit now. Okay. That's illegal. What was that hitbox? What was that hitbox? Oh my god, I want to do a whole new run. I'm that mad at that. Alright, gonna finish my thought. The biggest secret to happiness is changing the way that you talk to yourself. It's very easy to get caught up in comparisons and not ever look at what you're actually doing with your life and get upset. Look, when you look at people on social media, you are seeing the highlights of their life. You're not seeing the grind that it took to get them there. You're not seeing all of the fails. You're not seeing the process of improvement. And you're certainly not seeing their awkward teenage years where nobody liked them, they couldn't talk to women or men, and, like, they were ugly, awkward, whatever. Right? You see their peaks. So when you stop and look at your life and you're like, oh, I'm trying to become a programmer, but I'm not as good as this guy. Oh, I'm trying to become a game designer, but my games aren't very good. They're not fun. That's not how you should talk to yourself. What you need to look at is you need to look at what you're doing and try to take pride in it. And sometimes that pride will come later. I made an app for the iOS called Flickr Ninja. And when I look back on that thing, look, it's not the best made. The art is amateur, the animations are mediocre, the levels are hit or miss, and the UI still sucks. But I can say all that, and I can also say, I made that game fully on my own. Before there was AI, I did the art for it. I did the assets. I learned how to do animations. At one point, there were ads running on it, so I learned how to implement an ad system. I actually removed the ads because, it wasn't making me enough money to be worth it, and I'd rather my game feel good than make me money, especially when it's only going to be like 20 bucks a month. But at the time I made that, I never took pride in it. And that made me miserable. You need to be able to talk about the things that you do and that you love doing in a way that sounds interesting to you. And if you think, oh, I can't do that because it's just not interesting, lie. And what I mean by that is find a way to tell your story so that it sounds attractive. Something that if somebody told you, oh, this is what I'm doing with my life, you would go, oh, that's really cool, dude. Here's a hypothetical example. So, like, okay, I still live with my parents. I got kicked out of the army. I'm a loser. No. I left the army because I decided to pursue something new. I'm lucky enough that my parents are cool with me staying with them while I try to build up this different part of my life. If you start telling your story like that, I promise, you will instantly, well, not instantly, I promise over time, you will become a much happier person. Anyway, sorry I couldn't make it to the boss this time. I absolutely got wrecked by Tree Sentinel. Doing a bad representation of Duchess being my favorite character, but hey, I guess when you make a stealth build, it's not that great against bosses. So, that's Duchess. I will make note that I didn't beat Cephalos with her. No, Tricephalos. And then we will jump right back into it with the Revenant tomorrow. And we'll go from there. Till next time, see ya.